The conference room was smaller than Mark remembered, or maybe he was larger with tension. The walls were a neutral gray, the kind meant to calm people down, and the frosted glass window diffused the afternoon light into something pale and cold. A long table dominated the space, its surface so polished it reflected his clasped hands like a quiet accusation. He sat alone, jacket still on, back straight, jaw tight, practicing the version of himself that did not feel. This was supposed to be procedural. Efficient. He had told himself that all morning. He had even rehearsed polite sentences in the car, short, respectful, distant. I hope you're well. Let's make this quick. Words that implied closure without responsibility. The door handle clicked. Mark didn't look up. He heard footsteps instead, slower than memory allowed, not hesitant, exactly, just measured, as if each step required consideration. The sound made something twist low in his chest. He told himself it meant nothing. A chair slid back across the floor. Hi, Mark. Her voice reached him before her face did. Familiar, but deeper somehow. Like a river that had widened. He lifted his eyes. For a split second, his mind refused to process what it was seeing. Anna sat across from him, hands folded in her lap, shoulders squared, expression calm. Her hair was pulled back loosely, a few strands escaping around her face. She looked tired but composed, like someone who had learned to carry weight without announcing it. Then his gaze dropped. The beige coat she wore was unbuttoned, and beneath it, her dress curved outward in a way that stole the breath from his lungs. Not subtle, not ambiguous. A full, unmistakable swell that stretched the fabric tight. The room went silent except for the low hum of the air conditioner. Mark felt as though someone had knocked the air out of him and forgotten to give it back. His fingers loosened, then clenched again, knuckles whitening. He looked back up at her face, searching desperately for some explanation that didn't exist. The word caught in his throat, brittle and useless. He swallowed hard. You're pregnant. Anna followed his gaze downward, then back to his eyes. She didn't rush him. She didn't soften it. She simply nodded once. Yes. The confirmation landed like a physical blow. Mark leaned back slightly, the chair creaking beneath his sudden weight. His heart thudded too loud, too fast, as if trying to outrun the realization forming in his head. That can't be right, he said, though his voice lacked conviction. He started shaking his head before he knew why. We haven't been together in almost a year. 11 months, she replied quietly. I know the timeline. He opened his mouth, closed it, then tried again. Then whose? The question died halfway out, shame flooding in immediately. He looked away, pressing his lips together. I'm sorry. It's yours, Anna said evenly. Mark snapped his head back up. The words echoed, simple and devastating. His brain scrambled, replaying memories he had boxed away. The last few weeks before he left, the tension, the silence that filled the apartment, the night they slept together not out of passion but habit and grief and a desperate attempt to remember who they were. He had walked out days later, convinced nothing could grow from something already broken. Apparently, he had been wrong. The lawyer seated at the end of the table cleared his throat, shifting uncomfortably. Perhaps we should take a moment, he suggested, eyes flicking nervously between them. No, Mark said abruptly, standing before he realized he was moving. The chair scraped loudly against the floor. His pulse roared in his ears. No, he stopped, breath shallow, then looked at Anna again, really looked. Her posture was careful now, one hand resting lightly against her stomach as if by instinct. The curve was undeniable, real, alive. When were you going to tell me? He asked, his voice lower. I tried, she said. There was no bitterness in it, which somehow made it worse. I called, more than once. I sent emails. I even texted you from my sister's phone when you blocked my number. Mark's chest tightened. He remembered ignoring those calls, the unread emails piling up in a folder he never opened. He had told himself she was trying to pull him back into arguments he didn't have the strength to fight. I thought you needed space, he muttered. I thought you needed to know, Anna replied. Silence stretched between them. The lawyer shifted again, then quietly gathered his papers. I'll step out for a few minutes, he said, standing. Take your time. The door closed behind him with a soft click that sounded far too final. Mark sank back into his chair, suddenly unsteady. How far along? He asked. 7 months, she said. The number hit him harder than the sight. 7 months of doctor appointments, of nausea and fear in preparation. 7 months of her body changing while he lived in willful ignorance. Why are you here? He asked hoarsely. If you didn't want to tell me, if you stopped trying, why now? Anna glanced down at the folder in front of her, the divorce papers neatly arranged. Because I didn't want any loose ends, she said. And because the law doesn't care about feelings. It cares about facts. Mark followed her gaze. The papers looked ridiculous now, thin and fragile compared to the reality sitting across from him. You were really going to finalize this, he said, disbelief creeping in. Without saying anything. Yes. The word was firm. Something inside him cracked. Do you have any idea what this is doing to me? Anna looked up, meeting his eyes steadily. I do, she said. I lived it alone for months. Her hand shifted slightly as her stomach moved beneath it. Then it happened, a visible ripple, subtle but unmistakable. A kick. Mark stared, frozen, as if time had stuttered. Oh my God, he whispered. Anna's expression softened despite herself. She's active, she said. Especially in the afternoons. The word slipped out, fragile and odd. Yes, Mark felt dizzy. A daughter. A life he hadn't known existed, moving beneath Anna's skin. He pressed his palms flat against the table, grounding himself. That's my child, he said, not as a question but a stunned realization. Yes. The air felt thick, charged with everything unsaid. Mark looked from Anna to the papers and back again. The future he had assumed was settled had shattered quietly, completely. I didn't know, he said, voice breaking. I swear, I didn't know. Anna held his gaze. I know. For the first time since she walked in, her eyes glistened, but she did not cry. The door remained closed. The room held them in its cold, neutral silence, the divorce unfinished, the truth impossible to ignore. The late afternoon sun hung low, washing the parking lot in a pale amber light that made everything look softer than it felt. Mark stepped outside a few seconds after Anna, the glass doors whispering shut behind him. The air was cooler than he expected, and he welcomed it, hoping it might steady the frantic pace of his thoughts. The world beyond the law office went on as if nothing monumental had just happened, cars pulling in and out of spaces, someone laughing on a phone nearby, the distant wail of a siren fading into traffic. Anna was already halfway across the lot, moving carefully, her steps slow and deliberate. She stopped beside her car and rested a hand against the roof, breathing in. Through her nose, out through her mouth. Mark noticed the way she shifted her weight, protecting her balance, and guilt punched through him again. Anna, he called, his voice sounding too loud in the open space. She didn't turn right away. When she did, her expression was guarded but not hostile, as if she had already prepared herself for this conversation and simply needed to endure it. Mark closed the distance between them, stopping a few feet away, unsure how close was too close now. Please, he said, running a hand through his hair. Don't leave like this. Like what? She asked. Aware, he flinched. Like we're still strangers. Her gaze flicked over his face, assessing. We are, she said quietly. That didn't change in the last hour. He nodded, accepting the truth of it. I froze in there, he admitted. I didn't mean to. Everything happened at once. I know, she said, softer now. I expected it. That somehow hurt more than anger would have. Mark shifted his weight, the concrete cold through the soles of his shoes. I should have answered, he said. I should have listened. I thought cutting contact would make things easier. For you, she replied. Yes, he said immediately. For me. The honesty surprised them both. Anna's eyebrows lifted slightly, then settled. I didn't tell you right away because I didn't want to beg, she said. I didn't want to convince you to stay because of a pregnancy. I needed to know I could do this on my own if I had to. And can you? He asked. She glanced down at her stomach, her hand instinctively resting there. I already am. A car drove past behind them, tires crunching softly over gravel. The moment stretched, heavy and fragile. I'm not asking you to forgive me, Mark said. I'm asking you to let me be involved. To know her. To help. Anna studied him for a long moment. The sun caught in her eyes, making it hard to tell what she was thinking. Help how? She asked. Emotionally. Financially. Or just when it's convenient. All of it, he said without hesitation. Consistently. I don't want to be a name on a birth certificate and a check in the mail. She nodded slowly, as if filing the words away rather than accepting them. Words are easy, she said. You used to be very good with them. The accusation stung because it was true. Mark exhaled, looking down at the painted lines on the asphalt. Tell me what to do, he said. Not forever. Just now. Anna considered that. Right now, she said, I need space to process what just happened. I came here prepared for one ending. I didn't plan for you to catch up all at once. I'm not asking to fix everything today, he said. Just to not be shut out completely. She hesitated, then reached into her purse and pulled out her phone. For a moment, Mark thought she might be about to leave anyway. Instead, she unlocked the screen and held it out to him. This is my number, she said. I changed it after you stopped responding. His chest tightened as he took the phone, careful not to touch her fingers for too long. He typed his name in, then paused. You don't have to use it, she added. This isn't an invitation to show up unannounced or demand anything. It's a line, whether you cross it appropriately is up to you. He handed the phone back. Thank you. Anna opened her car door and adjusted the seat before sitting, moving slowly, deliberately. Mark watched, acutely aware of how much he had missed. She closed the door, then rolled the window down partway. One more thing, she said. Yes, the divorce, she said. I'm still going through with it. His stomach dropped, though he'd known it was coming. Okay, he said quietly. This doesn't automatically fix us, she continued. It doesn't rewind anything. Whatever happens next will be separate from what we were. I understand, he said. And he did, in a way that felt both painful and clarifying. She nodded, satisfied that he wasn't arguing. Good. The engine started, humming softly. She shifted into reverse, then paused, her hand lingering on the steering wheel. She kicked earlier, Anna said, almost to herself. She does that when she senses change. Or maybe I'm imagining it. Mark smiled faintly, warmth spreading through the ache in his chest. I'd like to feel it someday, he said. Anna met his eyes through the open window. We'll see, she replied. She backed out of the space slowly, then turned and drove toward the exit. Mark stood where he was, watching until her car disappeared onto the street. The sun dipped lower, shadows stretching across the lot, and for the first time since the door of the conference room had opened, he didn't feel frozen. He felt late, but not too late to start showing up.